Hey, everybody. First off, thanks for listening to the Endless Song Podcast. And if you're enjoying the show, please remember to give us a review on the platform that you listen to us on, because it helps us reach more people who may benefit from the content. Thanks again. And this week, you can come see us live in the wild at the Enchanted Night Market in downtown Salem, Oregon on Saturday, August 2nd from 3 to 10 p.m. We'll have a booth there where you'll be able to record sound bites for us to use in the show. Plus, we're teaming up with our friend from Psychic Shine, Shayla De Jesus. She'll be offering 20-minute intuitive readings for a mere $40. So whether you're feeling a shift in your expression, a nudge towards something new, or you simply want to feel more inspired, this session offers grounded insight and a little energetic lift. And you can learn more about Shayla from our vocabulary show with her, as well as her upcoming full-length interview. Or you can go see her at her website at psychicshine.com.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right. This is the Endless Song Podcast with Will and Emily. Yeah, so this will just build on last week or last episode,
Yeah.
since we don't really have a set schedule for
The theme of
putting
love.
things out. Yes. Love is big as a concept and multifaceted. We talked about that last time. And one of the things that I've been thinking about a lot, the bridge experience happened and it was major. It was life altering. And it was huge. I mean, so huge, as we've discussed before. It took me a long time to process it, to figure out how I felt about it, to learn the lessons that were meant to come from it. And then it was gone. It left me waiting there, feeling like, okay, well, what's the next part? When do I have the next experience?
Yeah. Am I just done? Is this it?
Yeah.
And then you start questioning, did it even really happen? Like, was the way you remembered it happening?
Well, yeah, exactly. You question its importance. You question how big was it really that it wasn't immediately followed up by something else? When obviously now I know a big part of it happening and then nothing else happening for a while was I needed processing time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Important.
Whether I liked it or not. And I'm still taking new things away from the experience months later. So, I mean, I know now this wasn't something where like a door opened and stuff came flooding through and then the flood just kept going.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. Well,
That would have been exhausting. It was already exhausting for you. So
Yes.
I can't imagine if it had just kept coming and coming and coming.
And I know that now, but there's that feeling. And, we're talking about awakenings. That's a big part of this podcast, is the concept of what happens when you go through that. And a big part of my experience was a feeling of loss and of being lost when that original experience faded and there was nothing to replace it. That was just as difficult as dealing with the experience. Essentially ended up meaning so much to me. I wanted to experience more.
You went more.
Right?
Yeah.
And then there's nothing. And I think that's an important topic to talk about, just because I'm sure others who have gone through their experiences in whatever form have been left with times afterwards where things are quiet and things are not happening and there isn't a new message or lesson. And does that mean that it's over? You're not loved by the universe anymore?
No, that's the thing. I think when things are quiet, There is a lesson in that quiet. Big things happen and it takes us time to integrate. The way you would interpret the bridge 6 months later, if you really sat and started thinking about it the whole way through, there would be new things that you would pick up. There are new lessons that you would pick up, because the further back from the experience that you get, I think your perspective becomes wider. You're not in it. You're not so close to it. Even though we don't have big things happen on a daily basis, which is really good, we need that time to make sense of the big things and to see all of the, not just the big lessons, but the micro lessons in there as well. I think that is so important.
I definitely felt that way with after the bridge. There was the big experience, but there was also what I like to call the packet of information that came along with it. And there was a lot that I needed to deal with. And I'm glad I got that time. I'm glad I had that experience and then a break so that I could deal with it, because emotionally it was a lot. And I know now that if I had the next day had an experience just as huge, it probably would have been too much just back to back, not even thinking about the idea of it happening a third day in a row.
Yeah, well, and I think too, at the time, you put in long weeks of work also, talking about quote unquote real life. Your physical body and your mental body was already loaded with your daily work life, not even to mention just your personal life, your family life, but then to have this spiritual event happening. I think our guides are kind, and that they try not to give us more than we can handle. But I think it's true that the goal from the other side is not to overload us with information. It's to teach us. It's to give us lessons and then give us time to reflect and learn from them, and then move on, make space, and then bring on the next lesson.
Yeah, and I think in a lot of ways, there's a tether built from that to just how we were talking about the concept of love. When you think about being in love with someone, your life isn't always the proposal. It isn't always the honeymoon. It isn't always the wedding. If you were perpetually on a high all the time like that, I think it would become overwhelming, and it might actually distort or disrupt the love that you were feeling, because there is that need to come down into the quieter spaces and refresh yourself, take a step back, break them down.
Live your life.
Yeah, and live your life and all the other things that you have to do on the side. In a way, this relates really well for that reason, is that there will be times along your journey when you're not being smacked upside the head by something grand or important or mind-blowing. And that's okay. You haven't lost the narrative. You haven't been kicked out of the club. There is no club. You're just being given time and space to deal with what obviously was huge, so that you can be ready to take that next step when you need to.
Yeah, well, and on the flip side of that also, it doesn't mean that when something big and wonderful and loving happens and everything, it doesn't mean that you're getting this free pass that you're not going to have bad days in the future as well, right? I think that's really important, because people who are awake and they recognize that there's this other way of being that is absolutely beautiful and loving and non-judgmental, you still have bad days, right? If you're living in this human world, it's hard to stay completely sheltered from things that happen in society. And I think that's really important, is understanding, especially when you're having a bad day, because it can feel like there are days when everything just goes wrong. And I'm a person who truly believes in like attracts like. So, you know, when you hear of someone having a bad day and then it gets worse and worse, and they start saying, this day just can't get worse, and then it gets worse, right? I see that as they are vibrating at a low frequency, and so that is what is coming to them. Low frequency, low frequency. That basically manifests as bad interactions with other people, stubbing your toe, an unexpected bill shows up, whatever. And how it's really important to be aware when that happens so that you can shift your mindset and get back into that good vibe place and that loving space, which is really possible, but you have to be intentional about it and switch gears.
Yeah, life is the ups and the downs.
Yeah.
But it's up to us to put in the work, that it doesn't just come to you and is given to you freely. There is an essence of work involved in the process, and the quiet times are almost there to give you time to do the work.
Yeah.
So that you're ready for the next time that something happens.
Well, I think the quiet time is a really important time to get your, I call it rituals. I'm not talking about witchcraft here, but I mean, witches would probably say, yeah, let's go. Like I was saying before about my morning ritual. I do the same thing every single morning because it sets me up for having a good day. It sets my heart up. It sets my intentions up. It sets my attitude up so that I can be as loving as possible, not only to other people, but to myself. I think that's really important in this whole discussion also, where we're talking about love. Self-love is so very important, especially when you're going through something like this and you're feeling outside love coming, you know, whether if you want to say it's from your guides or your, like Will says, his me, capital M-E. It's also important to figure out how to love yourself, because you're always here, no matter what. Your guides are always there too, but you don't always feel them. Sometimes they go quiet. And so having a daily ritual where you control the narrative is so important. So like I said, I have my hot drink and then I say these words every morning. I start off by just saying, today I am calm. Today I am happy. And like even right now, I can feel my heart start warming up. Today I am grateful. Today I am hardworking. Today I'm kind to myself and I am kind to every other living being. And if the morning has just felt off, I will take that a step further and I will say, today I am calm. And then I will follow up with, why are you calm? And I answer that question. Today I am happy. Why are you happy? Because when I can answer the whys of everything, then my heart starts filling up again. So that's really important. But saying all of this does not mean that I don't have times where my guides have gone completely silent, where I feel very alone, where I actually get angry because they're so silent. And then what do I do about it? Because I feel untethered. And I got to that point in April, just having a really stressful work year. A lot was going on. I remember being out in the side yard at night, crying my eyes out, and basically yelling at my guides, my team, as I refer to them, saying, where are you? I need you. Like, I am going through this hard time. I can't do this. And total radio silence. And I understand that when that happens, it's because I am going through a lesson and there's no one who can get me through the lesson but myself. Really, I don't use the word untethered lightly because I don't feel that way a lot, but I was untethered. I felt all out of sorts. And I ended up making an appointment with a Reiki practitioner who worked on me. I'm so grateful for her. The next day, I felt like I was back in my body. It was kind of like that's what I needed at the time because I couldn't figure out how to fix myself. So I think that's really important when it's kind of like, where's the love? Like, where is it gone? Where is the next big experience? Why is everything being so quiet? Figuring out what works for you, whether it's little or big, so that you can move forward. But remembering that we're here to have a human experience. That's really important to keep in mind. The spiritual things are amazing and fun and loving, and I'm grateful for every one of them that happens. But I know I'm here to live a human life and gain as much learning as I possibly can. In that, a lot of times I need to figure out how to help myself when I don't just have a clear answer from my guides on what I can do.
In a sense, it's much like a teaching experience where you're the student, your guides,
totally the student.
The universe is the teacher. Kids don't learn as much when the teacher just stands at the front of the class and just talks at them all the time.
Right.
So in this case, there's love in the silence in that it's time to do the work. It's time for you to put in your effort, taking what you have been given or what you have learned, figuring out how to apply them to your everyday life and your everyday experience, not just to yourself, but to others. More will come after the work is done in the silence and you have figured out what you are meant to figure out.
Yeah, and I like that you say that. With the silence, there is learning in the silence because so much happened. And now I can connect the dots, or in my case, stepping stones that my guide set in front of me. And I just started walking on those stones, and it all worked out fine, like it normally does. It's just sitting in it is sometimes uncomfortable.
Yeah, and it can become a problem because you want there to be more. You want forward motion.
Yeah.
You want to make progress, but the progress is not always about it being handed to you. The progress many times comes in taking the information and doing the work.
Yeah.
And that silent time is there for you to sit in things and do that work so that you can move on and have that next experience. And maybe the point is the next experience can't be a part of your life until you are prepared to deal with what it has for you.
Until you sit, you learn your lessons, you move on, and you're ready for the next big thing.
Yeah, I think sometimes it can be hard to separate the way we look at things in a spiritual sense versus the way that things exist in our current reality, where everything is about now, me, more. And we're all looking for this spiritual supersize me moment where we can get that large drink and those large fries with our sandwich without having to do much of anything. And it just,
it just doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work like that.
At least not for me, it doesn't.
Well, no.
Maybe for some people it does. Lucky them.
That's the hard part of it. If you take those same expectations into this process, you're not even really bettering yourself. You're almost setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah, and that's a lesson in itself.
Yeah. You've been listening to the Endless Song Podcast with Will and Emily. Today's music, Everything Feels New and Alternative Ways by Evgeny Bardyuzha. Stay safe out there, everyone. And remember, intentions matter. So be thoughtful, be kind, and be better every day. And we'll see you out there on the trails. Yeah, so in that sense, love is the silence. In that case. Not silent like our rooster.
Yeah.